anime characters tend to be a bit more physically impressive than their real-world human counterparts. While some of these muscular anime characters don't seem entirely realistic, it's hard not to be impressed with them anyway. Their builds exude manliness and power that would make any bodybuilder swoon. These fantastically buff characters range from martial artists to swimmers, and show up in the best shounen anime and the best sports anime. Some impressively ripped anime characters, like Master Roshi from DBZ and All Might from My Hero Academia, can only maintain their fantastic physiques for a short period of time. One character, Izumida Tuichiro from Yowamushi Pedal, gave his pectoral muscles their own names and personalities. Whatever the situation, it's hard to look away from their rippling biceps. 1. Jet Black, a self-described Renaissance man who is proficient at everything from cultivating bonsai trees to using a handgun, is also ridiculously buff and proficient at hand-to-hand combat. This particular skill comes in handy for his bounty hunting lifestyle. Unlike his crewmate, Spike Spiegel, Jet relies more on raw muscle than he does on technique. 2. In an effort to lose weight and increase his speed, Tuchura Izumida of Yowamushi Pedal starts lifting weights to supplement his bike practice. As a result, he gets ripped. More notably, he develops a fondness for his own muscles that borders on delusional. Not only is he proud of his buff bod, he's friends with it. His pectoral muscles are named Andy and Frank, and his lower back and oblique muscles are named Fabian, and he's often seen talking to them as if they're people. Rather than being creepy, this is actually pretty endearing, and so is his catchphrase, which is the word, abs, shouted with sheer delight. 3. Kotaro Amon from Tokyo Ghoul has a dangerous job which requires intense levels of physical fitness. Said job involves hunting down and killing ghouls, a humanoid species that must eat human flesh to survive. Ghouls are inherently stronger than humans, which means that any human who hopes to contain them must train constantly, and that's exactly what Amon does. 4. Okay, to be fair, this isn't exactly a human example, but if you're up to date on Attack on Titan, you know that the Armored Titan's human form is pretty chiseled too. The Armored Titan, who is so strong he can punch a hole through a solid rock wall, is definitely one of the most muscular beings you'll ever encounter in anime. You do not want to be anywhere near him when those massive fists start swinging. 5. Sakura Ogami of Danganronpa started off as a small, slim girl, but her appearance changed dramatically as she trained. Sakura was born as the only girl in a family of male dojo fighters. Because of how sexism is a thing, Sakura had to work twice as hard to prove her worth as a fighter. Her goal is to become the strongest human alive, and she actually did get the opportunity to be officially recognized as such when the current holder of the title, a street fighter named Kyojuro, offered to transfer it to her after his death from a terminal illness. Sakura refused to accept, preferring to gain the title through her own hard work instead. 6. For a shounen anime centered around fighting, the characters in Naruto are surprisingly non-muscular. There are a few exceptions, and one of those is the Reikage, the leader of the Land of Lightning, who is known as A. Masashi Kishimoto, the creator of the original manga, claims that he drew A as being particularly muscle-bound to show off how powerful he was, and that he based a lot of his attacks off of pro wrestling moves. 7. Yujiro Hanma of Baki the Grappler holds the title of strongest fighter in the world. He fought both American and Viet Cong forces with his bare hands during the Vietnam War, and has mastered every form of unarmed combat. His body does not make anything resembling anatomical sense, since he appears to have both a demon-faced muscle and a six-pack on his back. Confusing physique aside, this is not a guy you want to get into a fight with. 8. When the only piece of clothing you wear is a Speedo, you know you've got a body that rivals the Greek gods. And his muscles aren't just for show. Superalloy Darkshine is a S-class hero with amazing strength and literal muscles of steel. His shiny muscles serve as a type of armor that even Destrochloridium's drill hands aren't able to penetrate. Therefore, it's safe to say his hero name suits him well. 9. Kill la Kill's Iragamagori is so outlandishly enormous that it's absurd. Not only does he have bulging, powerful muscles, he's also about 12 times larger than anyone else on the show. No, really, there are scenes where his hands span the length of another character's entire body. Studio Trigger isn't exactly known for consistent or realistic proportions, but still. No one knows exactly why Gamagori is so enormous. It's simply a fact about him, like his blonde hair or his dedication to Satsuki Kiryuin. 10. You can't have a list about muscles without mentioning Free, a show where all the characters are so well built that their manager, Go, spends more time ogling them than she does actually managing them. That's not actually true. Go is surprisingly one of the greatest female club managers in anime. Every character in Free is well-muscled, but Makoto Tachibana has some of the most impressive back muscles ever animated outside the shounen genre. 11. Shinya Kogami from Psycho Pass is an enforcer at the Public Safety Bureau's Division 1. His job frequently requires him to engage in physical combat, so he stays in shape through kickboxing, wrestling, and more. He also builds and regularly uses a punching bag that's shaped like a human being. 12. Sofia Velmer, also known as Valmut, is a former member of the Finnish Rapid Deployment Force in Jormungand. She's skilled in both hand-to-hand combat and knife fights, and she keeps her body in shape for whichever one is necessary in the service of Koko Hekmatyar, an enigmatic woman she falls in love with. Unlike many female characters who possess significant physical strength, Sophia is actually drawn with visible muscles. 13. Jonathan Joestar is also ranked number 55 of 130 on the best anime characters with blue hair. In the early days of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, most of the characters were unnaturally beefy. In the more recent seasons, they no longer look like they could easily lift a pickup truck over their heads, but they're still pretty muscular. One of the most built characters is Jonathan Joestar from Season 1, who is so powerful that he can actually tear through solid steel. 14. When many anime fans think about impressive physiques, Alex Louis Armstrong of Full Metal Alchemist is one of the first characters that come to mind. Not only is he outlandishly muscular, but he is also proud of his body. The only equivalently muscular characters in FMA are Armstrong's sisters, Amu and Strongine. Yes, that's right, Strongine. It's a beautiful name for a beautiful woman. 15. Given how spectacularly chiseled half the cast of Dragon Ball Z is, it's hard to choose just one. Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo. They're all massive, and they all deserve their own spot on this list. That said, the 300-year-old Master Roshi deserves special mention because of how dramatically he transforms. Most of the time, Master Roshi looks like a shriveled old man, but when he wants to maximize his fighting abilities, he goes into max power mode. This not only gives him some serious muscles, but also makes him so strong that he literally destroys the moon. Bet your grandpa can't do that. 16. All Might from My Hero Academia is a legendary superhero whose physical prowess is what you'd expect from someone who is known to be number one. However, his physique is far from permanent. All Might's sculpted body comes from his quirk, what superpowers are called in the My Hero Academia universe, which he can only use for a few hours at a time. When that time runs out, he reverts back to his true form, which is a sickly, emaciated man who frequently coughs up blood.